11 years old, he goes to grade school.
Roughly how far you live south of here?
What?
How far you live south of here?
11 miles southwest of there.
So your children or your grandchildren take the bus now to school?
No, they drive a car.
Oh,
They drive a car. They did all the while then. What was the, do you remember the registration numbers of the lottery station? No, I don't. When was the first time you had an automobile? When did you get your first automobile? I got an automobile in 1912, I think. A Ford car. Was this a good education for everyone? Sure was. Yeah, I lived in Tipcon at that time.
oh, you. Now, you mentioned you lived in Tripp County for a time. Whereabouts in Tripp did you live?
6 miles west of Paxton.
Did you draw a registration number there too?
Yeah.
So you drew.
No, I didn't. I squatted, what they call squatted. That's after the land was all taken. Well, then anybody could go in and squat on the land. That was at 12 o'clock at night. So that's the way you got a homestead after all them other fellows' numbers was taken. Then you could, what they call a squatter's right.
Did you have any problems with squatting? Did anybody else try to kick you off or anything?
No, there was nobody tried to kick us off. There was some on there, but they wasn't on the land. When we rode around our land, why, they wasn't on the place. And we had witnessed that they wasn't on the place. And
How much did you have to pay for this land that you squatted on?
what is that? It is around $3 or $4 an acre. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Did you how did you measure your land? Did you,
Well, that was all measured out by the government.
it was.
That was all measured out by the government. Every mile there was 4 holes there, and a half a mile there was 2 holes. So the land all was measured out before anybody ever got on there. Do you remember when they transferred the capital of Cook County to Venice? What? When they moved the capital city of county seat of Cook County to Venice and Venezuela County?
Oh, yeah.
That's from that was from Fairfax to Burke. But no, in Cook County, they moved to county seat in 1911 or something like this from Lightwood to Winter, and they had to they took the buildings and put them on. Oh, that was what the Lamro.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Glamrock.
yeah, yeah. I remember that time. Did you see it? Oh, we went up there to see how they moved the buildings and stuff like that. How did they do it? Well, we put trucks under the houses and put horses on, and away they went. How many horses did they have to use? Oh, well, that all depends on the building.
You mentioned did you see this fire in Dallas, the big Dallas fire?
We didn't see it, but we went there the next day.
Was it? Did it burn the whole town down?
Well, it burned up, put near a whole block, half a block anyhow. Yeah.
You know how this fire got started? Have you ever heard what started this fire? Did somebody light a match or did lightning strike down?
No, that's hard telling how that got started.
No one knows then.
No, that was when we first come to Dallas. That was just when they moved Dallas from down southeast here to up to Dallas.
Where was Dallas originally?
What?
Where was Dallas before they moved it to its present site?
It was about 7, 8 miles southeast here. And then the railroad didn't hit it. Then they moved up there to the railroad.
So, in other words, the railroad played a real important part in settling out here.
Sure. That was the main thing.
Were all of your children born on the homestead?
What?
Were all of your children born on the homestead?
The children was all born on the homestead. Yep. Yep.
I've been told that when a town first starts, one of the first buildings in the town is a saloon.
Saloon?
Yes.
Well, there was 2 or 3 saloons there.
Can you describe a typical saloon back in those days?
Well, I didn't go much in them saloons, so I remember one time we went in a saloon and my father laid $1 down and another fella grabbed it. My father hit him. He fell down on the floor and the saloon keeper says, "That's the best thing you ever done in your life," he says. Oh, they was rough people, I tell you. You had to watch yourself. And with the Indians, we got along fine with the Indians all the time.
Did you have any work on your ranch or in your homestead?
What?
Did any Indians work on your homestead?
No, we never did. But they stopped at our place. There was some Kanoi boys down there. They'd always stop and visit us all the time.
On your homestead, roughly how many head of cattle did you use down there?
Well, first we had 1 cow. Then after that we increased afterwards.
Could you describe some of your experiences during the winter of 1915?
Well, in 1915, I left here in 1913.
Mm-hmm.
I went north to Sioux City there. I bought a half section there. So I didn't come out here till 1915. And we had a lot of snow at that time. So I wasn't around here in 1915. Yeah. But I drove out in the country and there was snowbanks 7 and 8 feet high. So,
during this winter or during the winter months, did you have a lot of loss of cattle?
yes, we had cattle.
Did a lot perish in the storms?
Well, that was in 1911 or 12. There's a lot of cattle froze to death.
Mm-hmm. Did you have any problems with rattlesnakes or
Rattlesnakes?
Cattle?
Yes, we did. We had rattlesnakes and prairie dogs. We had a whole section out there that was just rattlesnakes and prairie dogs.
Did they bother your cattle, kill off any cattle?
No, there might have 1 or 2. But then all the neighbors went together and poisoned them and got rid of them. Now you get out of here, Odie, till we get done. We're diggers.
What about that? I've heard they had a little problem with grasshoppers here back in the 30s.
You bet you make.
Were you on this big roundup they had?
Well, I tell you go along there and see them hang on the fence. And
You just did the back. Didn't it, Charlie? You got the tobacco. You down, you go out the door.
Did you want a roundup? You cattle taken south to protect them?
What?
Did you want a roundup at any time you the cattle to move them out of the country from the grasshoppers?
Well, we did. Before, that was in 1908 when Tripp County, when they took the cattle out of there. I was with them then.
Could you describe a roundup and tell us some stories about them, maybe?
Oh, they rounded up the cattle and each one sorted his cattle out and everything like that. See, Trip County was just, of course, you young fellows wouldn't realize that, but there was nobody there but the Indians had cattle out there. Some sort of big ranch, they had a ranch out there that he kept like that. There's whole township, 10 where ranches was in.
Where did you move his cattle to from Trip County?
They moved them to the railroad station and sold them.
Oh.
They used to have here at Bonesteel, they used to have a place where they'd take them to. When did you first get a telephone out at your place? That was in about 1910 or 11 on a wire thing. Can you describe this setup? Well, we had a wire and just kept it that way, kept it clear. You just went along the fence line and fence line. And then a year or two after that, we built a telephone line.
You mentioned you were the first rancher or homesteader in this area that had a fence. Do you have any problems with people cutting your fences down and raiding your cattle or going across your property?
Did what?
Did you have any problems with people cutting your fences and going across your property?
No, we never did. We never did. No. And the Indians was always pretty darn good to us. Yep. I got along fine with the Indians. Do you have any other stories that you have heard while you were out here in just maybe lines and stuff that you picked up from your father or anyone that you remember? What? Do you have any lines or any stories that you picked up? Oh, a lot of them. Yeah, we used to. All them old fellas could get together and talk about their old times and everything. And one time, one evening, a bunch of fellas made up they was going to steal a fella's horses, just play a joke on them. One fellow went there and visited with the people, and then some other fellas, they went and took his horses. So when they went home, why, he went out to lock his barn and everything, then his horses was gone. And so he went to a neighbor where they had a party, and they took them fellas out, and he told them who was there. And so they went and got this fellow. They was going to hang him. They fetched him to my father's place, and there was another old man about a half a mile north of us. They was going to hang this man. My father says, no, he says, you can't do that. We don't know what they did. So they had got a lot of neighbors together, and them fellas that was going to hang this guy, they was there, and then this fellow was in the house, and my brother was taking care of him. He says, he says, we just tried to play a joke on this. Was an old bachelor. And he says, now here's what happened. And so he went out and told him. Well, then he went out and told him how it happened. And there was one man where they put them horses in his barn. He jumped in the well. He committed suicide, or how he got in the well, nobody knows. And one or two fellas that was with there, they went hid themselves for a couple of days, and now they're all quiet down.
You mentioned about you wanted to hang this man. Did you have any problem with law and order out here at this time? And what did you have for law and order?
Well, that's what they do, but I never knew that they hung a man or anything like that.
Yeah. Did you have a sheriff out here?
Oh yes, they had a sheriff out here, sure.
Do you have any problems with a lot of bank robberies or anything?
Not that I know of.
Have you ever heard of Jack Sully?
And Jack Sully, yes, I knew him.
Could you maybe tell us something about him? Describe what type of a man he was?
Well, I don't know. I think he was a pretty good fellow as long as he was good to him, you know. They live more north here than we live south.
Mm-hmm. Do you remember the first churches that were out here?
Yeah. There was a church out of work there, Indian church. That's where we used to go to.
Was this this service? You said it was an Indian church. Was it held in the Dakota language?
Yes, it was.
You know any Dakota?
Huh?
You know any Sioux language? Can you speak it?
Me? Yes. No, I couldn't. No. That was all in English, you know.
Oh, they did have the service in English.
Yeah.
Oh.
Of course, if the Indians had it by themselves, that's what I don't know.
Did the Indians understand English service pretty well?
Group was connected, some pretty smart Indians. Yeah.
And the Indians, in other words, quite a few of them spoke English as well as the Dakota language.
Sure. But
Kids around here go pulling a lot of pranks in those days.
it sure did. Just like,
What kind of pranks did they pull?
would you pull?
Could you tell us one or two funny pranks you think you pulled? Did you know of any? Remember any? So pretty funny.
Not after I got out here, but before I got out here, well, I could pull as many as anybody else. No, I know there was a lady out here, she had watermelons. And she was the high price of it, so one night the boys went there and mixed all her melons.
They big sweet.
Huh?
Did you eat them all?
Yeah.
Well, that's the focus that we hear.
Then afterwards they built Paxton. Quite some town. All the saloons and everything.
Are these towns about the size they were? Are the towns as bigger than back in the old days than where they are now?
Oh, there probably was about 40, 50 families, something like that. And down here, all up, they had 3 saloons, bank, hardware store, implement shop, everything like that. And so did Paxton afterwards. That Paxton started there when Tripp County opened up.
Why did some of these people stay out here?
Why?
Yeah.
Well, some of them they couldn't. They couldn't. They couldn't live or something like that. Some come out here. They didn't. Then in them dry years, they couldn't make a living. They left here then.
You mentioned between you and your father, you had a half section of land.
Yeah.
What's the size of your land now? Still the same, or is it bigger?
It's bigger now.
Roughly how many acres do you have now?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 quarters and an eighth.
Of course, that's almost 2 complete sections.
Oh, see, there's 4 quarters to a section.
So you have 3 3/4 sections, roughly.
1,200 acres.
Yeah. Now, how did you acquire these extra sections after you homestead? Did you just buy out from other farmers and ranchers?
Like some other farms out, yeah.
Mm-hmm. You ever buy any land at public auctions and sales?
At when school land was sold. Yeah.
You didn't attend school out here, did you?
What?
You didn't go to school out here, did you?
I did not.
Did your children go to school here?
Our children all went to school.
Was this a one-room schoolhouse?
What?
A one-room schoolhouse?
Well, I helped build the first schoolhouse in our district. That was in, I don't know. And I was treasurer in that school district till I left here. And then my brother took over, and then after I come back again, I took over. Now my boy is treasurer in the same school district.
So it's something in the family.
In the family.
Just like Frank, he's treasurer of the school district up where he's from, too.
Yeah.
How big was your school at that time? He's from, too.
Yeah.
How big was your school at that time? How many students attended?
How many?
Yeah, roughly.
Children?
Yes.
Well, that all raised on the years, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes we had as high as 20 children going to school.
Is the school still in operation?
Not this year. It quit this year. The boys' children are coming here to Gregory school now.
Did these schools cover grades 1 through 8? Or they cover all the grades 1 through
8 till the 8th grade.
8th grade?
8th grade.
What did they do usually after 8th grade?
Well, then they'd go to high school. My children all went to high school here, and my boys got a
Tom Donovan on January 10th, 1968, at the Rowan Hotel in Gregory, South Dakota, Gregory County. Stop.
When did you first come to Gregory County? How did you get here?
Well, in 1904, we went to Mitchell to register for this homestead. And then in 1905, I come out here in the spring. And then I went back, and my father come out here with us. He grew a homestead. I didn't. And my brother. And in August, I come out then again. I stayed here till in January sometime. Then I went back to Iowa and got married, and then I come out. Then the rest of my life I stayed out here, homesteaded.
This is 1907?
Till,
1907 you got married?
1906. 1906. Then I come out here and we built, well, during that summer we built a sod house, and a sod barn, sod chicken coop, broke prairie, which I didn't know a darn thing about holding a prairie plow. And we sowed flax that year, and hailstorm come along and just wiped it out for us.
You mentioned you registered in Mitchell. You know of any other registration places for this title?
Oh, there were some different registration places, yeah. I think there was some in Bone Steel. But we went to Mitchell, and there's where we registered.
Mm-hmm.
There was 4 young guys, my brother and 4 young guys, and my dad, another old man. So we come out here. My dad, he drew a number. And he wanted us, the fellas, to come out here too, but we didn't give a darn. So I come out here, and then I didn't homestead here in Tripp County. I homesteaded in Tripp County because they asked $1,500 for a relinquishment. The right, you're right, you know, you sold for $1,500 or whatever you could get, and I didn't want to pay that, so I waited till Tripp County opened up. But I lived down here on my father's farm, and that's still in the Rubel name. My boy lives there now.
Can you describe the kind of house you had, more about the sod house, how you built it, and what kind of furnishings you had inside and things like this?
Well, you plow your sod about 8 or 10 inches wide, and then you take a spade and make your sod as long as you want them. Then you lay them down and smooth it out nice and lay them up like bricks. And then after you get up there, you put a plate around, then you put your rafters on, put boards on and tar paper, and then you lay your sod on for your roof. That's the way you make your barn too. And then you take the magnesia out of the side of a hill, make plaster out of that, and plaster your house.
Do you plaster the inside of your house or
What?
the outside too? Do you plaster the inside and outside?
Well, I did, my brother did. He had a Russian woman to plaster it outside, and that was just as hard as cement. No, we just mixed that magnesia with sand and then plastered the house inside. It was nice and warm and everything, and then cool in the summer.
And what did you use for heating inside your house?
What we used for heating?
Yes.
Buffalo chips.
Buffalo chips.
And we used flax straw afterwards, you know.
Do you have a furnace or an oil stove?
It's just a
heating stove.
Yeah. You betcha nothing. You made your table and made your beds and everything. That's the way we got along.
Yeah. You mentioned the other day that when you first set up your house, you had horses living in your house too?
Yeah, first when we come out, we had the horse on one side and we lived on the other side.
Roughly how big was your side house?
Oh, that house was that was a frame house. We put up a frame building first, you know, and then we put a sod house next to it. That was about 14 by 20, something like that. Yeah.
How big was your tract of land that you grew?
What?
What was the size of your land that you homesteaded on?
The land?
Yeah. How many acres?
That is, my brother had 160 acres and my father had 160 acres, so we had a half section together.
You did?
We fenced that. That was the first quarter first land that was fenced. We dug a well. That was the first water that was around there.
How deep did you have to dig for your water?
Well, this well was about 30 feet deep. Of course, we were down in a draw. Good water, too.
Did this well ever go dry on you?
Oh, no. It never went dry. And Indians and everybody come there and got water there and everything like that.
Well, could you describe a little bit more about the lottery system? What kind of registration things you had to fill out? How many people were there?
Oh, there's people from all over the world. And you had to, I don't know if you had to give your age and date and everything like that. And then it was a lottery. See, that's the way you drew your number.
What were you kept in? Were they in big barrels or? What was the lottery registration slip kept in? Big barrels or what?
Yeah, that's something I can't tell you. It was, there was lines in Mitchell there that day when we got there. See, the train would come in and then they'd get them registered and they'd go again. So where they kept them lottery tickets, I don't know.
Could you describe a little about how you dug your well?
We dug it with a spade. Pulled it out with a bucket.
Did the sides ever cave in while you were digging it?
Well, no, you want to be careful about that. And afterwards, I got a well rig that we used to dig down, make a 2-foot hole, go down there. And we learned to wick for water. That's what we did.
Can you describe this wicking for water?
Yes, you take a wire, and that'll point around where your vein runs. And then you get a willow and see how deep, how strong it is.
Was this always successful?
It was. Because in my life, I just missed 1 or 2 wells that I didn't get water.
Now, how many did you get?
Well, there's a lot.
Slow cattle.
You mentioned something about sod plow.
Yeah.
Could you describe what this was like?
Well, that was just an ordinary walking plow with a lay on and 4 rods. We pulled that with 4 horses.
And you just, how much could you plow in a day?
You plow about 3 acres, I think. Something like that.
Well, then, could you describe your early life on the homestead, some of your early experiences, tragedies or hardships, things like this?
Yes, we had to drive 25 miles to Bone Street to get our lumber and coal and stuff like that. And many days, sometimes, I know one time a rainstorm come up and it took us 3 days to get home. When we got home, the horses was all in and we was all in. Got stuck in mud holes. There was no cement roads or anything like that. You drove through a field and where you went.
Roughly how long did it take you to travel to Bonesteel?
Well, we'd get up early in the morning, about 4 o'clock, and then we'd get in there about 2 o'clock or 3, and then we'd do our business, and then we'd be ready for the next morning to go home again. That's if the weather was good, but if the weather was bad, why, it took you longer.
Mm-hmm. And you traveled by a single wagon?
Wagon, had 4 horses on one wagon, and then they had another trail wagon behind.
Do you remember when they had the first car in the territory?
But
When was the first automobile in Gregory County?
I think that was in 1910 or something in there.
Do you remember what kind of car it was?
I do, but I can't recall it.
Could be a Jackson?
Huh?
Jackson?
I think it's something like that. Yeah, there was Jackson Brothers. They come out here. They had a car. They lived, of course, they lived right down here. Dallas used to be southeast of town here. Then the railroad didn't hit it, so they moved up northwest here.
Could you tell us about your father and where he came from before he came to the territory?
My father come from Elsass Lowridge. He come down to Iowa when he was about 18 years old. And my mother, she was born at Galena, Illinois.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned when you first came out here, you were going to Bonesteel for your provisions. How long was before Gregory was built? You came up here.
Before what?
How long did you go to Bonesteel before Gregory was built? And when was
Gregory? That was about in 1906 and 7. When I come to Gregory, first there was just a tent down here where Crowder's lumber yard is now.
Did they go through the same process in Gregory as regular homesteader as drawing a number for filing?
No, I can't just tell you how that was, but I think there was a lot laid out for a town. And then they sold the lots out.
Did you ever have any trouble on your homestead with prairie fires?
Prairie fire? Yes, we did. I know one night a fella come to our door and hollered, and it was just like daylight. All Tripp County. We lived 2 miles from Tripp County, and Tripp County was afire, and it was just like daylight. So everybody took a plow and went out and plowed fire guards and everything like that.
Did the fire guards always work?
Well, you had to take care of them, that you'd plow a guard and then you'd backfire. Be trying to stop before the fire got there so it wouldn't jump over.
So roughly how wide was this fire guard?
Oh, that all depends on how you made them. 2 or 3 rods, sometimes 4.
Could you describe your what experiences you had living in town whenever you did, or what social experiences on the homestead or celebrations such as 4th of July?
We had nice celebration every Sunday. The neighbors and everybody went to a certain place. And the neighbors all gathered there and had ball games, horse races, and stuff like that. It lot of fun that day.
Talking about celebrations, how did you spend a Christmas on the homestead?
Christmas?
Yes.
Well, we'd spend at the home, have a few families come together and stuff like that.
You'd have presents and everything like that?
Yeah,
You have a Christmas tree?
you bet your neck.
You did. And I presume you had ornaments on it too?
What?
Ornaments on the tree?
Yeah.
So
No, not them days. No, I don't think so. We didn't go very far. All you went with a team and wagon, and yeah.
What about the 4th of July in town? Could you maybe describe that?
Yeah, they had horse races, bronco busting, and stuff like that.
Just like a big rodeo in a way.
Big rodeo, yeah. Yeah.
Were you there during the Battle of Bonesteel?
What?
Were you in Gregory County during what's called the Battle of Bonesteel?
Yeah, Bonesteel was a lively old town.
Could you describe?
Oh, all kinds of people and everything going on there.
This was during the registration when you had the riot?
Registration and afterwards too, yes.
When you described any of it, or some of the establishments?
Well, there was all kind of fellas in there, businesses and everything like that. Bonesteel was quite a town then days.